The GameCube was full of hidden gems and unforgettable experiences. With the Nintendo Switch 2 adding the GameCube Online service, let's talk about 10 JRPGs from the Nintendo GameCube that deserve to be given a new life. The GameCube has some incredible memories for me. There were countless nights where I would witness the sun rising because I got sucked into my favorite GameCube JRPG. Today, we're talking about 10 great JRPGs for the GameCube that would shine on the Nintendo Switch 2's GameCube Online service. So take a seat, grab a drink, because we're talking GameCube JRPGs today. First up, let's get the most obvious of obvious choices out of the way. Skies of Arcadia Legends. Skies of Arcadia is still, to this day, known as one of the most beloved RPGs of its time. Initially released on the Sega Dreamcast, in Skies of Arcadia you take on the role of Vice, a young man who's always dreamed of being a sky pirate. On his journey he gets joined by Aika, his childhood friend, and a strange mysterious moonchild named Fina. The story of Skies of Arcadia is incredibly emotional, with deep character arcs for Vice, Aika, and Fina, among the other characters that really make you care about each and every one of them. Exploring the world is great as you sail among the skies, visiting all different kinds of islands, visiting towns, and adventuring through ruins and other types of dungeons. While the turn-based combat doesn't really do much for the genre, it had an interesting spirit charge system to build up shared AP, and you could change your elemental attack with the click of a button. However, what really makes Skies of Arcadia stand out is the exciting airship battles. When flying through the world map, you could encounter other airships and have an all-out airship pirate battle. You could equip different hulls for defense, different types of weapons, and different engines for speed. We still haven't had anything that comes close to the excitement of Skies of Arcadia customization and ship battles. With that being said, after attempting to replay it recently, this is one of those games that practically needs a fast forward option, because some of those animations really kill the pace of the battles, both for the turn-based combat and especially the airship battles. Seeing that painfully slow camera rotate around the airship was incredibly frustrating, and it got old quick. Skies of Arcadia would be nice to see on the Switch 2 Online service because not only is it one of the most demanded remasters, but I'd love if they could add a versus mode where you could play online and fight each other in online multiplayer ship battles. It's unlikely they'd add a feature to a straight port, but it would be so much fun. Also, while we're at it, fast forward mode please. It's a necessity. Tales of Symphonia is hands down one of the best action RPGs on the GameCube, and still to this day, it's one of the most popular that the Tales series has to offer. It has an amazing story that dove deep into themes of friendship, sacrifice, and the fate of two interconnected worlds. And in Tales of Symphonia, you play as Lloyd Irving, a young swordsman caught up in a journey to save the world alongside his friends. Colette, the Chosen One, Genus, a genius young mage, as well as his ruined, obsessed teacher, Rain. Sure, Tales of Symphonia may hit every cliche in the book, but it's still splendid, and the character development is fantastic. And yes, before you breathe down my neck, I am well aware that Tales of Symphonia already got a remaster on the Nintendo Switch. However, this remaster is kind of lackluster. Yes, it has the bonuses from the PS2 re-release like new costume skills and mystic arts, but it feels slow with the frame rate that dropped from a buttery smooth 60 frames per second to a choppy 30 frames per second. Even without the extra aforementioned content, the GameCube release of Tales of Symphonia is still considered the definitive way to play the game by the majority of the fan base. But anyways, what really made Tales of Symphonia stand out was its innovative real-time combat system. For the first time in the Tales series, you are no longer restricted to just a single horizontal plane. At any time, you could target a new enemy and your horizontal plane would adjust so that you can fight that specific enemy. The combat of Tales of Symphonia is best compared to a fighting game. You can juggle enemies with your combos of melee attacks, which can be cancelled into one another, as well as magic spells. It was super unique at the time, and there's just something so satisfying about the fluidity of the combat in this game. Especially those unison attacks. Some of them are downright gorgeous. And on top of that, this game is enhanced by how absolutely gorgeous the cel-shaded world is. It's aged incredibly well for a game that's over 20 years old. Tales of Symphonia kept me engaged from start to finish. Many many times. Honestly, I probably have at least 20 playthroughs at this point, and I still adore the game. In fact, I actually did a review for this game, so after you're done here, if you want to check it out, feel free. However, one thing that makes me feel like this game needs to be added to the GameCube Online service is the one thing I've been asking for in a Tales game for decades: online multiplayer. Finally, we would be able to play a Tales game with people from across the world. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen, but until then, I'll keep dreaming. Next up, we have the Lost Kingdom series. Two action RPGs that flew under the radar, but are still so much fun to play. Honestly, I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen the Lost Kingdom games mentioned. These games combined an action RPG with a unique card-based combat system. You play as Katya, who summons powerful creatures and casts spells through the use of cards, each with different effects. Kind of a cool combat system, but it's a shame that people don't really talk about it all that much. The first Lost Kingdom game is pretty straightforward, while the sequel, Lost Kingdom 2, adds more complex layers to the card system and introduces even more creatures to summon. Both games look beautiful and are filled with dungeons to explore, each looking more unique than the last. You'll end up spending hours collecting new cards, creating decks with those cards, and figuring out the best way to easily take down all the different types of enemies. The Lost Kingdom games would be amazing to revisit, or if you're like most people, you'll probably visit for the first time, because I don't think these games have ever gotten a re-release anywhere, and they were GameCube exclusive. These are games that I would love to see revived in one way or another, be it a remaster or a spiritual successor. However, step one is to get it onto the GameCube Online service, and if people like it, who knows, maybe the games can come back at some point. I spent an unhealthy amount of time playing through this game, and I'd do it again because it's way better than it gets credit for. Megaman X Command Mission is one of the most unique entries in the Mega Man franchise. You have the tried and true Mega Man X characters, joined by a few new ones, all layered with intricate RPG mechanics. This turn-based RPG takes place in the Mega Man X universe, and follows X and Zero as they uncover a conspiracy involving a new breed of Reploids. Mega Man X Command Mission combines the tried and true Mega Man X familiarities, like finding new armor and getting special attacks, but gives it an RPG flair with each character having a unique playstyle. For example, you can charge up X's Buster, or you can quickly input buttons in the right order to pull off Zero's saber combos. These simple commands, while some might find them a little bit annoying that you can't just mash the A button, I feel it keeps the gameplay fresh. The rich story and Mega Man X universe provide a familiar backdrop, and it's nice to finally get some actual in-depth story in the Mega Man X franchise. Also, the GameCube version of Mega Man X is actually the best version of the game to come out, with the higher frame rate, which also leads to higher encounter rates, and it had a treasure radar that utilized the Game Boy Advance link cable. Though I'm not sure how that would be emulated on a Switch 2 online service, but who knows, maybe we'll figure something out. If Lord of the Rings and Final Fantasy X had a baby, you get Lord of the Rings The Third Age. Set in the middle of the Lord of the Rings story, The Third Age lets you experience the side adventures of some new heroes who are part of the larger story. While the Fellowship is off on their journey to destroy the One Ring, your party of adventurers is battling orcs, exploring dungeons, and stopping Sauron's forces from taking over Middle-earth. Honestly, like I said earlier, Lord of the Rings The Third Age is like if Final Fantasy X was a Lord of the Rings game. The combat is incredibly familiar, but the morale system was kinda awesome. You can increase your morale with successful attacks, which allowed your characters to unleash more powerful moves and team-up attacks. The game's story feels very Lord of the Rings-ish, almost as if it's an official side tale of the series. I absolutely adored what I played of this game, despite not having much experience with Lord of the Rings. If they somehow managed to get the license to be able to port Lord of the Rings The Third Age to the Switch 2, I'd love to be able to play it again, now that I know a little bit more of Lord of the Rings. I'm sure I'd enjoy it more. If not, I guess I'd have to dust off the GameCube and give it another shot. That is, if I can even find it. Did you know the GameCube had online connectivity? Only a handful of games supported it. Mario Kart Double Dash, Kirby's Air Ride, 1080 Avalanche, and Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2. The latter was my first memory of playing anything online. While it had an online and offline component, I remember having a blast playing it online. You got the option to create your own character and explore planets, battling enemies while solving the mystery of the universe. The co-op gameplay was amazingly fun. However, unless you had the insanely ridiculous keyboard GameCube controller, it made conversing somewhat difficult with one another. The gameplay of Phantasy Star Online was a great action RPG, which allowed you to customize your characters with different weapons and abilities. As you leveled up, you gained new attacks, and the grind for rare items and materials made the game endlessly rewarding. The class system allows you to play as different characters. You could be an agile hunter, a magic focused force, or a versatile ranger. Each class had unique abilities. Co-op gameplay was great, and it was especially fun to team up and take off the insanely huge bosses. With the Switch 2's online capabilities, Phantasy Star Online 1 and 2 would absolutely shine. This is probably one of the most obvious options. If the servers came back up, we could play online all over again. Though Phantasy Star Online 2 is a thing, it would be nice to see where the online subseries of Phantasy Star began. Evolution Worlds was a series that began on the Sega Dreamcast. So Evolution Worlds is actually 2 games in one. First is an abridged version of Evolution, the World of Sacred Device, and then you have a full version of Evolution 2 Far Off Promise. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the entirety of the first game, but that's because of the lack of disk space on the GameCube. Evolution Worlds has to be one of the most underrated RPGs from the GameCube era. Set in a post-apocalyptic world, the story follows a young treasure hunter named Meg Launcher and his companion, Linear, as they explore all kinds of ancient ruins. Seriously, who came up with these names? Meg Launcher? Linear? Really? Anyways, the world itself is packed with ruins, treasures, and quirky characters, making it a perfect fit for anyone who loves those exploration vibes with a bit of silliness. The battle system of Evolution Worlds is turn-based, where you can attack, use special abilities, and collect card chips to enhance those special abilities. The game also featured a deep customization system for both your characters and the world itself, allowing you to build stronger equipment, improve your character's stats, and craft rare items to help them on their journey. Even if I hate crafting, which I do hate crafting, I still really enjoyed Evolution Worlds. This is a game I don't see happening, but I can dream because this was actually kind of unique and had a very livable art style. Virtua Quest is a hidden gem from the GameCube era that combines fighting and RPG elements set in a virtual world. Okay, so this is literally Virtua Fighter, right down to the skill set if it was an action JRPG. Set in a futuristic digital world, you play as a young man named Aoi, who embarks on a quest to uncover the mysteries behind a powerful data network. Virtua Quest combines real-time combat with the idea of hacking into virtual networks to fight and explore a cyberpunk-inspired world. Virtua Quest allows you to level up and customize your abilities as you progress. If you love Virtua Fighter, you'll love being able to use Akira's unique strikes or Wolf's wrestling moves. You'll be in heaven. The aesthetic is also very reminiscent of Sega's Virtua Fighter series, and added a unique and experimental feel to the whole package. With Virtua Fighter, you get a great mix of cyberpunk fantasy and action RPG mechanics. A perfect title for those who love the Sega legacy of Virtua Fighter and want to dive into a virtual world full of exciting combat and digital intrigue. Seriously, it's Virtua Fighter. If Virtua Fighter took place in the Digimon universe, minus the Digimon, but you know what, let's ignore that. Did you know LucasArts does more than just Star Wars? Yep, that's where Gladius comes from. Gladius is a unique strategy RPG that is very clearly Rome and Gladiator inspired. You control a band of gladiators as they fight for freedom, fame, and glory in a series of arena battles. The game takes a unique tactical RPG approach where you recruit and train fighters, customize their weapons and armor, and then guide them through intense tactical battles in the arena. I personally loved the team management and combat of Gladius. You'll need to carefully build your gladiator team, keeping in mind the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter, as well as their equipment and special abilities. The combat is the typical turn-based strategy RPG, and while it doesn't do a huge amount as far as strategy RPGs go, I kinda love the whole setting of ancient Rome. The story is clearly full of historical inspiration, and the game rewards strategic thinking and careful planning. I honestly wouldn't mind having a more realistic strategy RPG to sit alongside the ultimate tactical RPG, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. Now I won't go too much into that, but I am super excited for Fire Emblem. And finally, if you've never played Custom Robo, then you're missing out on one of the most creative and fun RPGs on the GameCube. I know this isn't typically a JRPG, but the customization mechanics and the storytelling, is everything you could ask for in a JRPG. The combat's just a little bit different from your typical JRPG, and that's okay. In Custom Robo, you get to build and customize your own robot and battle against other robots in an arena-styled real-time combat system. I loved winning fights and taking parts from those defeated robos and then customizing my own robo with them. Think Armored Core, but more kid-friendly. The battles are fast-paced and engaging, where you control your robo in an arena and battle against other robos in multi-level arenas. You can customize your robo's movement, attack, and abilities, making each battle feel like a unique experience. The game also features a deep story-driven campaign where you unlock new parts and face off against progressively stronger opponents, all while uncovering the mysteries behind the robo battles as well as your character. Honestly, I kinda get Pokemon vibes from the gameplay and story. Maybe not the arena battles, but just the whole plot line. Custom Robo is a series that I wish didn't just stop dead. There are several entries in the series we didn't actually get the opportunity to see. We didn't see the N64 release, and then I think there was one on the DS we didn't get. And while we did get a little Battlers experience, we don't even know if it's the same series, but it's kind of similar in the way that it plays. If there's a series to revive, this would be it. And the best way to get some eyes on it would be adding it to the GameCube Online service. So there you have it. The GameCube, while not the most amazing when it comes to JRPGs, still had quite a few noteworthy ones. That's it for today's video, but before you go, what do you think? Which GameCube JRPGs do you want to see on the Switch too? Drop your favorites in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another one of my JRPG videos. And lastly, before you go, why not stay for one more and check out this video? I think it would be perfect for you. Anyways, this has been Shinky. Thanks so much for watching, and until next week's video, have a wonderful day.